When King Abdulaziz Ibn Saud founded modern Saudi Arabia, he didn't just build a kingdom, he built a dynasty. From the deserts of Najd came a man whose vision united tribes, cities, and faith under one banner. But behind the founder stood dozens of sons, princes born to different mothers, raised in palaces and desert tents, educated in diplomacy, war, and faith. Some would rule the kingdom, others would guard its borders, manage its ministries, or fade quietly from history. Together they carried their father's dream and his shadow. In this film we follow every son of Ibn Saud, from heirs and reformers to soldiers and scholars, even those who died young, to trace how one man's bloodline shaped nearly a century of Saudi power. Before we dive into the princes one by one, a quick favor. If you enjoy deep, carefully sourced royal history, subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it where you are right now? Your answers help me shape future episodes for you. Abdulaziz Ibn Saud's conquest of the Arabian Peninsula between 1902 and 1932 was not just a military campaign, it was the foundation of a dynasty that would rule one of the world's most influential nations for nearly a century. When he proclaimed the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1932, Ibn Saud had united warring tribes under a single crown. But his greatest legacy lay not in the territories he conquered, but in the sons he raised to govern them. Ibn Saud fathered approximately 45 sons through marriages that cemented tribal alliances across the kingdom. Of these, 36 reached adulthood and would play roles in building the modern Saudi state. 6 would become kings, dozens more would serve as governors, ministers, and military commanders, creating a network of royal authority that extended into every corner of the kingdom. The succession system Ibn Saud established was unique in the modern world, brother to brother rather than father to son. This ensured that power would remain within his generation before passing to the next, creating stability while preserving dynastic continuity. From 1953 to 2015, 6 of his sons would rule in sequence, each bringing their own vision while maintaining their father's fundamental legacy. This is their story, a chronicle spanning from the early 1900s to the 2020s, following each son from birth to legacy, tracing how a Bedouin warrior's children became the architects of a modern kingdom. Born in Kuwait during his father's exile, Saud ibn Abdulaziz entered the world at the lowest point of the Al Saud dynasty's fortunes. His early years were marked by the hardships of displacement, but also by the determination that would drive his father's reconquest of Najd. As Ibn Saud's eldest surviving son, Saud was groomed from childhood to inherit a kingdom that did not yet exist. Throughout his father's campaigns, Saud served as both warrior and diplomat. He led tribal forces in the conquest of the Hijaz and managed delicate negotiations with Bedouin leaders. When oil was discovered in the eastern province in 1938, Saud oversaw the early development of what would become the kingdom's greatest source of wealth. His father formally named him Crown Prince in 1933, cementing his position as heir to the throne. Saud ascended to the throne in 1953 upon his father's death, inheriting a kingdom on the cusp of transformation. Oil revenues were beginning to flow, and the challenge was to modernize Saudi Arabia while preserving its Islamic character. Saud embarked on ambitious infrastructure projects, building roads, hospitals, and schools across the kingdom. He established the monetary system, founded universities, and began the process of creating a modern bureaucracy. However, Saud's reign was marked by financial extravagance and political miscalculations. His lavish spending on palaces and personal projects drained the treasury, while his foreign policy decisions, particularly regarding Arab nationalism and relations with Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser, created tensions within the royal family. By the early 1960s, these challenges had grown into a full political crisis. In 1964, facing mounting pressure from his brothers and the ulema, Saud was forced to abdicate in favor of his half-brother Faisal. He spent his final years in exile, first in Egypt and later in Greece, where he died in 1969. Despite the circumstances of his departure, Saud's reign had established crucial foundations for the modern Saudi state, and his descendants continue to play important roles in the kingdom today. Prince Faisal ibn Abdulaziz was born into a world of political upheaval and tribal warfare, but his early exposure to international diplomacy would shape him into one of the most sophisticated leaders the Middle East has ever known. At the age of 13, he led a diplomatic mission to Europe, beginning a lifetime of representing Saudi Arabia on the world stage. His mother, Tarfa bint Abdullah al-Sheikh, connected him to the kingdom's religious establishment, giving him a deep understanding of both Islamic law and modern statecraft. In 1926, Ibn Saud appointed the 20-year-old Faisal as viceroy of the Hejaz, making him responsible for governing the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. This role required extraordinary diplomatic skill, as Faisal had to balance the religious sensitivities of pilgrims from around the Muslim world with the practical needs of a modern administration. For nearly 4 decades, he transformed the Hejaz from a collection of tribal territories into a well-governed province. As crown prince under his brother Saud, Faisal gradually assumed greater responsibility for government affairs. When financial crisis threatened the kingdom in the early 1960s, Faisal implemented strict austerity measures and modernized the bureaucracy. His careful management restored confidence in Saudi governance and positioned him as the natural successor when Saud abdicated in 1964. Faisal's reign from 1964 to 1975 marked the golden age of Saudi development. He used the kingdom's growing oil wealth to fund massive modernization projects while maintaining Saudi Arabia's conservative Islamic character. His foreign policy balanced alliance with the United States against support for Arab and Islamic causes worldwide. The 1973 oil embargo, which Faisal led in response to American support for Israel, demonstrated Saudi Arabia's emerging influence on the global stage. Faisal's reign ended tragically in March 1975 when he was assassinated by his nephew Faisal bin Musaid during a public audience. His death shocked the kingdom and the world, but his legacy of modernization, Islamic leadership, and pragmatic foreign policy continued to guide Saudi Arabia for decades. His vision of a modern Islamic state became the template for all subsequent Saudi development. Prince Khalid ibn Abdulaziz was born during his father's campaigns to unite the Arabian Peninsula, and his early life was shaped by the traditional values of Bedouin society. Unlike his brothers Saud and Faisal, who were groomed for high office from youth, Khalid initially focused on tribal affairs and local governance. His deep connections to traditional Saudi society would prove invaluable when he unexpectedly became king following Faisal's assassination. Before becoming king, Khalid served in various administrative roles, including periods as governor in different provinces. His genuine piety and personal modesty earned him respect across all levels of Saudi society. When political tensions arose during his brother Saud's reign, Khalid often served as a mediator, using his reputation for fairness and his deep understanding of tribal customs to resolve disputes. Khalid ascended to the throne in 1975 during one of the most turbulent periods in modern Middle Eastern history. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 brought radical change to the region, while the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan and the Iran-Iraq War created new security challenges. Despite these pressures, Khalid maintained Saudi Arabia's stability through careful diplomacy and strong support for traditional Islamic values. The oil boom of the 1970s reached its peak during Khalid's reign, providing unprecedented resources for development. Under his leadership, Saudi Arabia completed massive infrastructure projects, including new airports, highways, and industrial cities. The kingdom also expanded its role as guardian of the holy mosques, undertaking major renovations to accommodate growing numbers of pilgrims from around the world. Khalid's reign was marked by steady, careful governance rather than dramatic innovation. His personal health problems, including heart disease, limited his public appearances but also created space for other family members to take on greater responsibilities. This collaborative approach to governance became a hallmark of Saudi administration. When Khalid died in 1982, he left behind a kingdom that was prosperous, stable, and confident in its place in the world. Prince Fahd ibn Abdulaziz was the first of the powerful Sudairi 7 to reach the throne, marking a new phase in Saudi royal succession. Born to Hafsa bint Ahmed al-Sudairi, Ibn Saud's favorite wife, Fahd grew up as part of a closely knit group of full brothers who would dominate Saudi politics for decades. His early education included both traditional Islamic studies and modern subjects, preparing him for leadership in a rapidly changing world. During the 1950s and 1960s, Fahd served in various ministerial positions, including education and interior. His administrative skills and understanding of modern governance made him a key figure in Saudi development planning. As Crown Prince under King Khalid, Fahd effectively managed much of the kingdom's day-to-day administration, gaining valuable experience in economic policy and international relations. Fahd became king in 1982 and ruled for 23 years, overseeing Saudi Arabia's emergence as a major global power. His reign was defined by massive development projects, including the expansion of the holy mosques in Mecca and Medina, the construction of new cities like Yanbu and Jubail, and the development of a modern telecommunications infrastructure. He also established the Consultative Council, creating the first formal mechanism for political consultation in Saudi history. The 1991 Gulf War marked a turning point in Fahd's reign and in Saudi Arabia's international relations. His decision to allow American troops to use Saudi territory as a base for operations against Iraq demonstrated the kingdom's commitment to regional stability, but also created domestic tensions that would persist for years. Fahd's handling of the crisis established Saudi Arabia as America's primary partner in the Middle East. In his later years, Fahd's health declined significantly, and he gradually transferred responsibilities to Crown Prince Abdullah. His death in 2005 marked the end of an era in Saudi history. Under his leadership, the kingdom had modernized its economy, expanded its international influence, and maintained domestic stability through decades of regional upheaval. The foundations he laid continue to shape Saudi Arabia today. Prince Abdullah ibn Abdulaziz was born to Fahd bint Asi al-Shuraim of the Shamar tribe, giving him strong connections to one of Arabia's most prominent tribal confederations. His upbringing emphasized traditional Bedouin values of honor, hospitality, and tribal loyalty, characteristics that would define his leadership style throughout his career. Unlike some of his brothers who pursued formal education abroad, Abdullah's learning was rooted in desert traditions and practical governance. In 1963, King Faisal appointed Abdullah commander of the National Guard, a position he would hold for nearly 50 years. The National Guard, composed primarily of tribal forces, served as both a military unit and a symbol of the monarchy's connection to traditional Saudi society. Under Abdullah's leadership, the Guard became a modern military force while maintaining its tribal character, creating a unique institution that balanced tradition with contemporary security needs. As Crown Prince during King Fahd's illness in the 1990s and early 2000s, Abdullah effectively governed Saudi Arabia for over a decade before formally becoming king. His leadership during this period was marked by careful reform and gradual modernization. He understood that Saudi society needed to evolve to meet contemporary challenges while preserving its essential Islamic character. Abdullah's reign from 2005 to 2015 was characterized by cautious but significant reforms. He established new universities, including the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, which admitted women alongside men. His scholarship program sent thousands of Saudi students to universities worldwide, creating a new generation of educated citizens. He also initiated limited political reforms, including municipal elections, and expanded roles for the Consultative Council. In foreign policy, Abdullah maintained Saudi Arabia's alliance with the United States while asserting greater independence in regional affairs. His leadership during the Arab Spring demonstrated both caution and pragmatism, as he sought to maintain stability while supporting gradual political change. When Abdullah died in 2015, he was succeeded by his half-brother Salman, continuing the pattern of brother-to-brother succession that had governed the kingdom for over 60 years. Prince Salman ibn Abdulaziz, the youngest of the Sudari 7 to survive to adulthood, represents both continuity with the past and transformation for the future. Born in 1935 to Hafsa bint Ahmed al-Sudairi, Salman grew up in an era when his father's kingdom was beginning to benefit from oil wealth. His education combined traditional Islamic studies with modern administrative training, preparing him for a life of public service. In 1963, at the age of 28, Salman was appointed governor of Riyadh province, a position he would hold for 48 years. During his tenure, he transformed Riyadh from a modest desert town into a modern metropolis of over 7 million people. His development of the capital showcased Saudi Arabia's modernization while preserving Islamic architectural traditions and cultural values. As governor, Salman became known for his meticulous attention to detail and his ability to balance competing interests. He oversaw the construction of King Fahd Road, the King Khalid International Airport, and dozens of other major projects. His weekly public audiences became legendary for their accessibility, allowing ordinary citizens to present petitions directly to the royal family. Salman became Crown Prince in 2012 and ascended to the throne in January 2015. His reign has been marked by ambitious reform programs, including Vision 2030, which aims to diversify the Saudi economy and reduce dependence on oil. He has also initiated significant social changes, including allowing women to drive and attend sporting events while maintaining the kingdom's Islamic character. Perhaps most significantly, King Salman has overseen the transition from brother-to-brother succession to father-to-son succession. His appointment of his son Mohammed bin Salman as Crown Prince in 2017 marked the end of an era in Saudi royal succession and the beginning of a new chapter in the kingdom's history. Under Salman's leadership, Saudi Arabia continues to evolve while honoring the legacy of Ibn Saud and his sons. Prince Mohammed ibn Abdulaziz occupied a unique position in the Saudi royal family as the eldest son to survive to old age, yet he never sought the throne. Born in 1910 during his father's early campaigns, Muhammad witnessed the entire transformation of Saudi Arabia from tribal confederation to modern kingdom. His decision to remain in the background while supporting his younger brother's reigns made him one of the most respected figures in the royal family. Throughout his life, Muhammad served as an informal advisor and power broker within the family. His counsel was sought on matters ranging from succession disputes to major policy decisions. His home in Riyadh became a gathering place for princes seeking to resolve conflicts or build consensus on important issues. This role as family mediator was crucial during the transition from King Saud to King Faisal in the 1960s. Muhammad's public roles included various ceremonial positions and participation in state councils, but his real influence lay in his ability to maintain family unity. His reputation for wisdom and fairness made him a trusted figure among all branches of the royal family. When he died in 1988, his passing was mourned as the end of a link to the founding generation of the kingdom. Prince Nasser ibn Abdulaziz played crucial roles in developing Saudi Arabia's early defense and aviation capabilities. Born in 1919, he came of age during the period when his father was consolidating control over the Arabian Peninsula and beginning to modernize the kingdom's institutions. Nasser's career reflected the broader transformation of Saudi Arabia from a traditional tribal society to a modern state. In the 1940s and 1950s, Nasser was instrumental in establishing the Royal Saudi Air Force, working with British and American advisors to create a modern military aviation program. His understanding of both traditional Saudi values and contemporary military needs made him an effective bridge between foreign experts and local commanders. The Air Force he helped build became a cornerstone of Saudi defense capabilities. Nasser also served in various administrative positions related to defense and security. His work contributed to the development of military academies, training programs, and procurement systems that enabled Saudi Arabia to build capable armed forces. His death in 1984 marked the passing of another member of the generation that had overseen the kingdom's early modernization. Prince Saad ibn Abdulaziz served as governor of Riyadh province from 1955 to 1963, during a crucial period in the capital's development. Born in 1920, Saad grew up during his father's reign and was educated in both traditional Islamic studies and modern administrative practice. His appointment as governor came at a time when oil revenues were beginning to transform Saudi society, requiring skilled leadership to manage rapid change. During his tenure as governor, Saad oversaw the initial modernization of Riyadh, including the construction of new government buildings, roads, and public facilities. His administration established many of the bureaucratic systems that would later be expanded by his successor, Prince Salman. Saad's understanding of both tribal traditions and modern governance helped smooth the transition from traditional to contemporary administration. After leaving the governorship, Saad continued to serve in various advisory roles and remained active in family affairs until his death in 1993. His contributions to the early development of the capital laid important foundations for Riyadh's later transformation into one of the Middle East's major cities. Prince Mansour ibn Abdulaziz was destined for high office before his untimely death at the age of 29 cut short a promising career. Born in 1922, Mansour was educated during the early years of Saudi Arabia's modernization and showed exceptional aptitude for military and administrative affairs. His father appointed him as the kingdom's first defense minister, recognizing his potential for leadership in the rapidly evolving security environment of the 1940s. As defense minister, Mansour worked to modernize Saudi Arabia's military capabilities while maintaining the tribal character of its armed forces. He collaborated with British and American advisors to establish training programs and procurement systems that would serve as models for decades to come. His vision for a modern Saudi military combined traditional Arab military virtues with contemporary technology and organization. Mansour's death in a car accident in 1951 was a significant loss for the royal family and the kingdom. His brother Sultan would later inherit many of his responsibilities and build upon the foundations Mansour had laid. The defense ministry that Mansour established became one of the most important institutions in the Saudi government, reflecting his vision of a modern military serving a traditional monarchy. Prince Mishaal ibn Abdulaziz served the kingdom for over 6 decades in various military and administrative roles. Born in 1926, he grew up during the period when Saudi Arabia was establishing its modern institutions and developing its oil wealth. His long career reflected the stability and continuity that characterized the rule of Ibn Saud's sons throughout the second half of the 20th century. Mishaal served as defense minister during the 1950s, continuing the work begun by his brother Mansour. His tenure was marked by steady modernization of Saudi military capabilities and the development of closer ties with Western defense partners. Later in his career, he served in various ceremonial and advisory roles, including a position on the Allegiance Council established by King Abdullah. As chairman of the Allegiance Council from 2007 to 2017, Mishaal helped institutionalize the process of royal succession, ensuring that future transitions would follow established procedures. His death in 2017 marked the passing of another member of the generation that had guided Saudi Arabia through its transformation from desert kingdom to modern state. Prince Sultan ibn Abdulaziz, another member of the Sudari Seven, served as defense minister for nearly half a century, making him one of the longest-serving defense ministers in modern history. Born in 1928, Sultan was educated during the kingdom's early modernization period and developed a deep understanding of both military affairs and international relations that would serve him throughout his career. Appointed defense minister in 1963 following his brother Mansour's legacy, Sultan oversaw the transformation of Saudi Arabia's military from a collection of tribal forces into a modern armed services capable of defending the kingdom's interests. His tenure coincided with massive increases in defense spending funded by oil revenues, allowing him to acquire advanced weapons systems and establish sophisticated training programs. Sultan's leadership was particularly crucial during the 1991 Gulf War, when Saudi Arabia served as the primary base for coalition operations against Iraq. His coordination with American and Allied forces demonstrated the effectiveness of the military institutions he had built over nearly 3 decades. The successful defense of the kingdom validated his approach to military modernization. In 2005, King Abdullah appointed Sultan as Crown Prince, recognizing his decades of service and his status as the senior member of the Sudari Seven, still alive. His death in 2011 ended an era in Saudi defense policy and cleared the way for Prince Naif to briefly serve as Crown Prince before his own death the following year. Prince Talal ibn Abdulaziz was one of the most controversial and intellectually dynamic members of the royal family, known for his liberal political views and his advocacy for constitutional monarchy. Born in 1931, Talal received a modern education that exposed him to democratic ideals and social reform movements that were gaining momentum in the Arab world during the 1950s and 1960s. In the early 1960s, Talal became the leader of the Free Princes movement, a group of royals who advocated for political reforms including a constitutional monarchy, greater civil liberties, and more democratic governance. This position put him at odds with the conservative consensus within the royal family and led to his temporary exile from the kingdom during the mid-1960s. After reconciling with the family and returning to Saudi Arabia, Talal focused his energies on business and philanthropy. He became one of the kingdom's most successful entrepreneurs and used his wealth to support various social causes, particularly education and development projects in the Arab world. His son, Al-Walid bin Talal, would become one of the world's most prominent investors. Throughout his later years, Talal continued to advocate for gradual political reform while supporting the monarchy. His unique position as both critic and family member allowed him to voice perspectives that others could not express. When he died in 2010, he was remembered as a complex figure who had challenged the royal family to think more deeply about governance and social justice. Prince Badr ibn Abdulaziz spent most of his career serving as deputy commander of the National Guard under his brother Abdullah. Born in 1932, Badr was educated in traditional Saudi values and military affairs, preparing him for a life of service to the crown and the kingdom's security. His long tenure in the National Guard made him one of the most experienced military leaders in the royal family. The National Guard, composed primarily of tribal forces loyal to the monarchy, required leaders who understood both military organization and tribal customs. Badr's background and personality made him ideally suited for this role. He helped transform the Guard from a traditional tribal militia into a modern military force while preserving its essential character as a symbol of the monarchy's connection to Saudi society. Throughout his career, Badr maintained a low public profile while working effectively behind the scenes to support the monarchy's security interests. His death in 2013 was mourned by tribal leaders and military officers who had worked with him over many decades. His contribution to Saudi security was recognized through his consistent service rather than dramatic public actions. Prince Nawaf ibn Abdulaziz served as Director General of General Intelligence, making him responsible for Saudi Arabia's external intelligence operations during some of the most challenging periods in the kingdom's history. Born in 1933, Nawaf was educated during the early years of the Cold War and developed expertise in intelligence matters that would serve the kingdom for over 3 decades. Appointed to lead the intelligence service in 1979, Nawaf took office during a period of regional upheaval that included the Iranian Revolution, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, and the Iran-Iraq War. His leadership of Saudi intelligence operations helped the kingdom navigate these challenges while maintaining its security and advancing its regional interests. Nawaf's tenure was marked by close cooperation with American intelligence agencies and careful monitoring of regional developments that could affect Saudi security. His work remained largely behind the scenes, but his contributions to Saudi national security were significant. When he died in 2015, his role in protecting the kingdom's interests was recognized by colleagues throughout the intelligence community. Prince Fawaz ibn Abdulaziz served as governor of Makkah province for over 2 decades, making him responsible for overseeing the holy sites of Islam and managing the annual Hajj pilgrimage. Born in 1934, Fawaz was educated in Islamic studies and public administration, preparing him for the unique challenges of governing the holiest region in the Muslim world. As governor of Makkah from 1971 to 1999, Fawaz oversaw massive expansion projects at the Grand Mosque and the development of infrastructure to accommodate growing numbers of pilgrims. His administration balanced the religious requirements of pilgrimage with the practical needs of modern crowd management and urban planning. The successful management of Hajj during his tenure enhanced Saudi Arabia's prestige throughout the Muslim world. Fawaz's work required extraordinary diplomatic skills, as he regularly interacted with religious leaders, government officials, and pilgrims from every Muslim country. His understanding of Islamic law and international relations made him an effective representative of Saudi Arabia's role as guardian of the holy mosques. His death in 2008 marked the end of an era in the administration of the holy sites. Prince Naif ibn Abdulaziz, another prominent member of the Sudari Seven, served as interior minister for over 3 decades, making him responsible for domestic security, law enforcement, and counterterrorism operations. Born in 1933, Naif developed expertise in security affairs that would prove crucial during some of the most challenging periods in Saudi history. Appointed Interior Minister in 1975, Naif modernized Saudi Arabia's internal security apparatus while maintaining respect for traditional Islamic law and customs. His tenure coincided with various domestic and regional challenges, including the 1979 seizure of the Grand Mosque, the Iranian Revolution, and later the threat of international terrorism following the September 11th attacks. Naif's leadership during the 2003-2006 al-Qaeda insurgency in Saudi Arabia demonstrated the effectiveness of the security institutions he had built. His coordinated response to terrorist attacks helped eliminate the insurgent network while maintaining public order and international confidence in Saudi stability. His success in this campaign enhanced his reputation as one of the most capable security leaders in the Middle East. In 2011, King Abdullah appointed Naif as Crown Prince, recognizing his long service and his position as the senior surviving member of the Sudairi Seven. His death in 2012, less than a year after his appointment, ended the possibility of his succession and led to Prince Salman's appointment as the new Crown Prince. Prince Turki Ibn Abdulaziz was named after his elder brother Turki, who had died in the 1919 flu pandemic, symbolizing the family's determination to preserve the memory of lost members. Born in 1934 as the youngest of the Sudairi Seven, Turki represented the continuation of this powerful branch of the royal family and served as a bridge between the older and younger generations of princes. Throughout his career, Turki served in various administrative and ceremonial roles, contributing to the collective leadership style that characterized the Sudairi Seven. His position as the youngest of the seven brothers gave him unique insights into the family dynamics that shaped Saudi governance for over half a century. Turki's death in 2016 marked the beginning of the end of the Sudairi Seven's dominance in Saudi politics. With only Prince Salman remaining by 2016, the era of collective leadership among these full brothers was drawing to a close, paving the way for the next generation's rise to power under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Prince Abdul Rahman ibn Abdulaziz served as Deputy Defense Minister from 1978 to 2011, working closely with his half-brother Sultan to modernize Saudi Arabia's military capabilities. Born in 1931, Abdul Rahman was educated in military affairs and public administration, preparing him for a career in defense and security that would span over 3 decades. As Deputy Defense Minister, Abdul Rahman played a crucial role in managing the kingdom's massive defense procurement programs and maintaining relationships with international defense partners. His work was particularly important during the 1980s and 1990s, when Saudi Arabia invested billions in advanced military technology and training programs. Abdul Rahman's long tenure in the defense ministry reflected the stability and continuity that characterized Saudi governance under Ibn Saud's sons. His death in 2017 marked the passing of another member of the generation that had overseen the kingdom's transformation into a modern military power. Prince Abdul Majid ibn Abdulaziz served as governor of both Medina and Makkah provinces during his career, making him responsible for overseeing the 2 holiest cities in Islam. Born in 1942, he was among the younger sons of Ibn Saud and represented a generation that came of age during the kingdom's oil-fueled modernization. As governor of Medina province from 1980 to 1999, Abdul Majid oversaw significant development projects around the Prophet's Mosque and worked to improve services for pilgrims visiting the second holiest site in Islam. His administration balanced religious sensitivities with the practical requirements of modern urban planning and infrastructure development. Later appointed as governor of Makkah province, Abdul Majid continued the work of managing the holy sites and the annual Hajj pilgrimage. His experience in both holy cities made him uniquely qualified to understand the challenges of religious governance in the modern era. His death in 2007 was mourned throughout the Muslim world. Prince Muqrin ibn Abdulaziz, the youngest son of Ibn Saud, has had a distinguished career in intelligence and briefly served as crown prince during the transition from King Abdullah to King Salman. Born in 1945, Muqrin represents the final link to the founder's generation and has played important roles in modernizing Saudi intelligence capabilities. Muqrin served as Director of General Intelligence from 2005 to 2012, overseeing Saudi Arabia's external intelligence operations during a period of regional upheaval that included the Iraq War, the Arab Spring, and growing tensions with Iran. His leadership helped maintain Saudi security interests while adapting to rapidly changing regional circumstances. In 2014, King Abdullah appointed Muqrin as crown prince, making him the designated successor to the throne. However, when King Salman ascended in 2015, he chose to reorganize the succession by appointing his nephew, Mohammed bin Naif, as crown prince, with Muqrin serving as deputy crown prince. Later that year, Muqrin was relieved of his succession roles as King Salman consolidated power within his own branch of the family. As the youngest son of Ibn Saud, Muqrin's career has spanned the entire modern history of Saudi Arabia. His experience in intelligence and government has made him a valued advisor to King Salman, and his perspective as the last surviving son continues to influence Saudi decision-making. Prince Turki Ibn Abdulaziz was Ibn Saud's eldest son and designated heir, born around 1900 during the early years of his father's campaign to reclaim the family's ancestral territories. As the firstborn son, Turki was groomed from childhood to inherit his father's leadership role and received training in both military affairs and tribal diplomacy that would have prepared him to rule the emerging Saudi state. Turki's early death in 1919 during the global influenza pandemic was a devastating blow to Ibn Saud's dynastic plans. At 19 years old, he had already begun to take on important responsibilities and had shown promise as a leader who could have guided Saudi Arabia through its early years of statehood. His death forced Ibn Saud to reconsider succession planning and led to Prince Saud's emergence as the new heir apparent. The loss of Turki remained a source of grief for Ibn Saud throughout his life. When another son was born to the Sudari family in 1934, he was named Turki in honor of the lost heir, symbolizing the family's determination to preserve the memory of those who had died too young. The original Turki's brief life reminds us that the Saudi succession we know today emerged from tragedy as well as triumph. Prince Saad ibn Abdulaziz was another young victim of the 1919 influenza pandemic that claimed millions of lives worldwide. Born in 1913, Saad was only 6 years old when he died, too young to have taken on any public responsibilities, but old enough to have been recognized as one of Ibn Saud's potential heirs during a crucial period in Saudi history. The loss of both Turki and Saad in the same year was a profound tragedy for Ibn Saud's family and highlighted the precarious nature of dynastic succession in an era before modern medicine. These deaths influenced Ibn Saud's decision to have many sons through multiple marriages, ensuring that the succession would not be vulnerable to the loss of any single heir. Prince Thamir ibn Abdulaziz died in 1958 at the age of 21, before he could establish a public career or take on significant responsibilities within the kingdom. Born in 1937, Thamir grew up during the early years of Saudi Arabia's oil wealth, but did not live to see the massive transformation that oil revenues would bring to the kingdom during the 1960s and beyond. Though Thamir's life was brief, his death serves as a reminder of the human cost of building a dynasty. Not all of Ibn Saud's sons would live to see the kingdom they helped create reach maturity. His memory, like that of his brothers who died young, remained with the family as they continued the work of building modern Saudi Arabia. The story of Ibn Saud's sons is ultimately the story of modern Saudi Arabia itself. From approximately 45 sons, 36 reached adulthood and contributed to building the kingdom their father had founded. 6 became kings, each bringing their own vision while maintaining continuity with their father's legacy. Dozens more served as governors, ministers, and military commanders, creating a network of royal authority that extended throughout the kingdom and beyond. The brother-to-brother succession system that Ibn Saud established ensured stability and preserved the dynasty through nearly 7 decades of rule. From King Saud's tumultuous modernization efforts through King Salman's current reforms, each reign has built upon the foundations laid by previous generations while adapting to new challenges and opportunities. The Sudari 7 emerged as the most influential branch of the family, with 3 sons becoming kings and others serving in crucial positions throughout the government. Their collective leadership style and shared vision for modernization shaped Saudi development for over half a century. The transition from their dominance to the rise of King Salman's sons marks a new chapter in Saudi royal succession. Today, Power has begun to centralize in King Salman's line, particularly around Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, but the foundations laid by previous generations remain strong. The institutional framework created by Ibn Saud's sons, from the National Guard to the Defense Ministry, from provincial governments to religious authorities, continues to function and evolve. The sons of Ibn Saud built not just a dynasty, but a state that still bears their father's imprint in every name, title, and decision. Their collective legacy is a kingdom that has maintained its Islamic character while embracing modernity, preserved its sovereignty while engaging the world, and sustained the vision of a Bedouin warrior who dared to dream of uniting the Arabian Peninsula under one crown. In the end, they succeeded not only in preserving their father's kingdom, but in transforming it into one of the most influential nations on earth.